Such an amazing, amazing lineup of people. I can't even tell you. I mean, to have this house, these people in one place, it's unimaginable. But we make it happen because we're Destination CEO, right? We can make anything happen. And magic happens when people are together. Today, we're going to be talking about so many different aspects of careers. And that's why I like to call this the career conversation, because it's not just about a job. It's what you do as a leader. It's what you do when you start working. It's how do you manage? What are some things that are important as you are looking for a job? And then what are some other things that are important as you start leading your own teams and you are in a job? So today's topics on the roundtable are just fantastic. So if you're not on, you better watch this recorded version and to the end. And you know, we're always here bringing to you these amazing speakers with this fantastic talent, giving you all this fantastic advice, because we all have one goal in mind, your success. And we're successful together. So without further ado, let me invite one by one each of my guest speakers. So hello, Dr. Alauddin, how are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. The boy in blue. Hello, Edward. How you doing?
Not bad, Meena. How are you?
Fantastic. Hi, Navjeet. First time on our show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, beautiful, handsome Biju looking down.
Yeah.
Hello.
Looking at my phone, texting people. That's me. That's right.
Yes. And our stunning Seena Foley. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow, Biju. You need a better intro. What's happening?
I know. Everybody else gets like just a general intro, but for you, it's like stunning Seena. Wow, that's impressive. That's good.
Good.
Isn't she stunning?
Let's get to the focus, guys. Let's focus on the topics, everybody.
See, we have so much fun just talking amongst each other that we sometimes forget that we're live, but we are live and we're here. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time out from your busy schedule on this beautiful day when I know that you want to be outside, but you're here with us, with everybody. So let's get started. Why don't we do a quick round of intros so the audience is familiar with who we are. Everybody knows me. I don't need an intro, but that's okay. I'm Meena Dolwani, the founder of Destination CEO. Dr. Alauddin,
I'm Alauddin Ahmed. I'm a consultant and have been working in multiple industries past 8 years, running the organization on my own.
I'm Edward Pagu. I am a mentor on Destination CEO, and I have a IT background or a technical background that loves the business. Who's going to go next?
I guess Navjeet.
Okay, hi guys, this is Navjeet here. First time on Destination CEO, background in IT and sales. On to you, Biju.
Biju Misrad, mentor and Destination CEO, similar to Edward in IT, and a whole bunch of other things.
Seena Foley, mentor with Destination CEO. I've got my background in HR and recruitment.
Fabulous. So now we have the intro. And I'm echoing.
It's okay.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today. Wonder if that's my phone. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's just get straight into it. We have a whole bunch of topics. Let's start with capability development. So, Dr. A, you talked about capability development. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's skill and capability development. We all know that we are on a journey, lifelong journey on learning. And how do we build our capabilities along the journey? That's what I want to talk about. But before I get into this, I want to touch base on why I'm talking about it. So there are a couple of scenarios that are very common. With this mentorship, we keep hearing, hey, what is the skill that is relevant for the market? Do I need a project management training? Do I need a lean training, a certification? What is that I need to get into the market? So that's a typical scenario that when somebody is trying to enter the market is looking for what is the relevant skill sets. There's other scenario that we come across, I personally come across when we are actively working on projects and really trying to find out who's the best person to work on that project along with our customers. And then we try to interview people, identify the best talents. And there, the common questions that come up is that, what's the line of sight for the organization? What's the capability requirement? What do I need to achieve to get to the next level? How do I get upper mobility in the organization? So whether I'm looking for a job or I'm in the job, I need to perform and then move up the ladder. The capability is coming as a common thing, right? So that's why I'm talking about the capability and how to, and as I said at the beginning, that it's a lifelong journey, right? Learning for, and that's where we try to say that, okay, there is a simple framework that we have to do, follow, identify, discover what you're trying to do, discover what's your passion and where do you fit in. And then second point is commit. It takes time. It's said that if you want to really be good at something, you have to spend 10,000 hours, which means 5 years of full-time work. You have to do that. Then you can become really good at it. So it's not that, okay, I have learned Power BI and I'm an expert on it, right? I cannot say that, right? It's just that I have got that tick mark, right? But I cannot claim that I'm an expert in that. So there's significant commitment required. The third point I want to emphasize is that there is reinforcement required. So the energy comes with passion, energy comes with action and result. So that's where that you feed your system with results and then reinforce your learning. So I want to talk about those 3 points, that discover what's your passion and where you fit in. The second point is there is a significant commitment required from yourself. There's a time, who do I learn with, what do I learn, and then how do I really invest continuously. Third one is that how do I reinforce it? So in a nutshell, that's the capability development along the journey that we talk about.
So Alauddin, I guess one question to you would be, and just I guess from our own careers, like maybe it's to everybody, like when did you know, like what you're doing is what you want to do?
Myself?
Yeah, like what was it? Was this like a moment that you just kind of, it occurred to you, or was that early in your career? Because I think everybody maybe have different experiences, right?
Yeah, so it was in Tokyo. It was in Tokyo where I was running an organization in TCS, and I knew that I was looking for a leadership. I was enjoying the leadership position, but I also wanted to do a little bit different type of business, right, which is the capability development of the organization. At that age, I literally figured out that my passion is to build capability internally and externally. So when I say internally, is internally with myself, and then externally is that when I'm working with somebody else, right? So you could say that it took me about to reach 30 plus years. But before that, when I was doing PhD in Japan, I realized that before that, I came from a manufacturing background in Unilever, and world-class manufacturing was being taught there. In 1994, we were taught supply chain there. Yeah. So when Toyota was the benchmark, we studied together with Toyota, but I realized that I'm not probably going back to the factory and do that stuff, right? And also I realized that I'm not going to stay in the classroom and teach people, right? So what is that I can do? So what I realized that my passion was to really see real results right away. I didn't know, honestly, there was a word like consulting at the time, but I could figure out that I want to work with people, build some capability where the results can be seen very quickly. And
I
that was,
think the other good thing is trying it. I think I think one of the things that sometimes we get stuck in is that we believe the things that we study in school is what our capability should be, and not looking at what we are good at. I mean, and like you said, you gotta know what you're doing, how you're doing it, and being able to show the delivery that goes with it. And I think that is what helps you understand the capability. And sometimes we get caught up in that piece of paper that says, you did business or you did IT or you did something that forces you to be pigeonholed into an area. And I believe it's important to understand the passion. Like you said, you got to have passion in what you do, because that's the only way you're going to be successful. And if that means being a graphic designer versus an IT person or versus a business person, then that's what you do, right? So I think capabilities is important to match it to your style and your presence as well.
A lot of participants ask that question, right? I mean, Seena, I'm sure you've had, and all of us, when people say,
Right.
well, I don't know, like, what do I really want to do? And we generally ask that question saying, well, what you want to apply for may align with what you want to do. And people are like, I don't know. I want to do a lot of things. Like, I spoke to somebody this morning that said, well, I want to be in marketing. I want to be in manufacturing. I want to be like an astronaut, a chef. I'm like, I know, like, it's good to want to do a lot of things. Like, Seena, I don't know. And Navjeet, like, what's your experience been to kind of,
I think there's a pressure to figure it out fast, but there's also the ebb and flow of where you think your career goes and where it ends up and the changes that come, and being open with that. And sometimes what you're passionate about is, I don't know, what you volunteer in, or how you interact in all the facets of your life, and understanding that when you're going to spend so much time in your job, it's going to be a lot easier well, I don't think everyone has to love it, but I think everyone has to understand that when they're there to do something and not hate it, but maybe their passion is, having their family or volunteering or cooking or whatever they want to do on the side hustle. But I think there's sometimes a lot of pressure to be like finding your passion, and maybe you haven't lived enough to figure that out yet, and it can be a journey. And some people know, like, I've always wanted to be a teacher and that's what I'm going to do, and go to, I've always worked with kids and I went to teachers college and whatnot. But not everybody has that path, and I think it's okay. I think there's this pressure, like, I got to find the answer and commit to that answer forever, when that's not how life goes, right?
it takes time to find it out, right?
I kind of agree with Seena in the sense that, there's one part of it that's the current job that you're doing that you need to do well. And as a mentor told me very early in my career, so stop worrying about where you want to go, where will you end up, stuff like that. Says, do the job that you're doing well enough, and the future will take care of yourself. You'll be guided along to a point where you will be able to say comfortably, hey, I want to do this and I want to keep doing this, or do I want to move out? But if you focus too much on, hey, I need to find a passion, and I need to be, super good at it, and you just think about it, it's not going to be very productive, and you're not going to move ahead. So you need to kind of focus on what you're doing as well, and you need to do that well.
Yeah, but as you find your way, and I think one of the questions in there is, how do you balance passion with other responsibility, which is making money? We all need money to live, right? There's no, so I can go plant trees and go hug trees because that's my passion, but it doesn't deliver me the things that I need to be able to sustain myself. So it's not a one track, and I think we've all we're trying to say you gotta work on it in multiple tracks. So do the things you need to do and do it really good, so that you can at least figure out if you want to keep doing it. And for the things that you're passionate about, keep doing it as like Seena said, the side hustle. The side hustle, I enjoy talking and having these conversations with the team, and it's not my job, but it's something that I enjoy doing it. I also incorporate it in my job so that I can instill that type of capabilities or expand that as I do my regular job. So yes, you gotta look at it from a parallel stream, because it's not one or the other. It's all of the above. Life is tough. You gotta live it.
Yeah. Just want to add here another twist. See, skills, competencies is one thing. The other thing is that where is our natural energy comes from?
Yeah,
Where
talent.
does it come from, right? So if I am doing always desk work, analysis work, and then consulting work or problem solving, whatever I'm doing, but naturally I'm embedded with this, with the mechanism that my body and my whole mechanism enjoys when I'm doing something physical. So then I have to really find out, what do I do physically, right? So do I fix things in my garage or do I run outside? So that's something that, no, I have to figure it out. And there are some natural strengths. If I don't do that, I will be hurting myself in some way or other, and it will be hurting my performance in other way. So there are different types of tests you can do to find out, right, what's really your natural strengths or natural energy level in what. And then you have to as Navjeet was saying, that you have to do your job. And professionally I can be doing something, but if I really am passionate about volunteer, I have to, within the job or outside my job, I have to find out how do I reach out to somebody that I can help someone. So that will bring energy back to my system, and then help me out. So having said that, there are certain professionally that we have to find out, where do I start from, and then how do I really keep it floating and keep it going. And then the other part is that how do I really keep myself fit and then be able to deliver, or perform in a consistent manner. Another thought is that, which I believe that everybody needs some kind of a stimulation in certain stage, right? Every 5-6 years, if I'm not doing something dramatically different, either in profession or in something else, I'm not actually, moving or growing, right? So it could be in a job, transfer to a different country, transfer to a different function, transfer to a different department, or trying something totally different, or maybe all these digital things that we keep coming across and keeping ourselves. That may be helpful to keep ourselves relevant, but also it's a great source of energy to keep us on the energy level very high, right? So these are the things that I believe, and then I always try to test myself too, right? And Biju, you might have experienced that when you go around the world and move from one place to another. Now how you really there are executives I met, they're high performance. When I asked them, okay, what makes you successful? There were people said that I really perform well, I'm scared. How am I going to do it? Okay, how am I going to do it? And then the best of me comes out, right? Yeah. And there are people who say that, okay, no, actually, when I do it when I'm at a gunpoint. Some of my team members told me that, no, Alauddin, you didn't force me enough that, okay, I have to do it. But you are very gentle. You said, okay, fine, but I didn't understand it, right? So there are people who will do it under tremendous pressure. There are people who would do it under a scary situation. There are people who can do it. I personally do it when I'm completely free. Full freedom. I know the end objective, but I know I will figure it out how to go there, right? So those are not necessarily skills, but they're competencies and then sources of support systems that will make me successful. Yeah, I need a mentor all the time. Okay.
You see, I'm like the total different. I like to be on the edge of the cliff, although I'm afraid of heights, ready to fall off before I can do my best. It means you put up your hands for all the things that can go wrong, and that's what you take on, because it's big glory or big pain, and that's a driver that again, I think, like you're saying, know the things that drive you and what make you who you are, right? Your inside DNA. So be crazy. It's okay.
Yeah. And I think that's the consistent theme, right? I think we've talked about it. I mean, multiple times is, a lot of things about discovering your passion is really sort of an inside game, right? It's a mind game. Like you really have to spend the time to really understand, what motivates you, what doesn't, what do you like, what you don't like, the types of people you want to work with. I mean, I worked with Navjeet and Edward, and I'll just leave it at that. No, just
Yes, that's why I guess Edward's talking about being on the cliff, right? At the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, so
It's usually when I'm rescuing him. So that's
That makes sense. It all makes sense now. That's
it's a
right.
mental game. It's a mental game, right? And the first time you're not going to get it. You just have to keep at it and constantly be exposing to your, different experiences in life. And I think in that you'll find something that you really enjoy and you like, right? And so there's none of us could give anybody an answer. It's hard work that you have to do yourself to try to figure it out, right?
And then we have to figure it ourselves, and it's also okay to reach out to people and ask, right? So in my life, I have really reached out to the people. So in the last 20 years, I have worked with them. If I have really done something noticeable, they will remember and tell me that, Alauddin, that was good, that was not good, right?
Right.
So even if it was 10 years old experience, there are people who were able to, when I came to Canada, actually I entered a coaching program where the first job was to find out what's your uniqueness. So it was a 1 month exercise, and within 1 month, I reached out to the people, ex-colleagues in Australia, in Tokyo, and India, and then I gave them questions, a set of questions, and then they really articulated, not necessarily to satisfy me, because that was a condition, to tell me the truth, right? And it was really helpful. Few things I had in my mind, thinking hard, maybe that's my strength, maybe that's what I do well, etc., etc. But listening from 10 other different folks and then saying that, hey, yeah, he's also saying that, she is also saying the same thing. Okay, yeah, that's it probably. I should probably take that as a truth, right? So there are ways to really reach out to people, and that's where actually you build relationship and then take that feedback and move on, right? Build yourself.
So the ideal situation would be to get paid to do the job that you
first,
right? And then, but let's move on. Otherwise, 23 minutes and we're still at one topic. We have 6 topics. So moving on to grit. We talked about passion. We talked about capability development and showcasing. Now let's talk a little bit about grit. Navjeet brought up this topic. What do you mean, Navjeet, about grit, and what is that really, how to showcase that?
Yeah, so first of all, why the topic came to my head is that for the past, ever since we've been gone into a lockdown, the topic of resilience and grit keeps cropping up, and there's a lot of discussion around it. So I actually did happen to go through a book. It's called Grit, strangely enough, and it's written by Angela Duckworth, and it's been around for some time. But what struck me is the definition of grit, as she puts it. So it's talk about passion and do you follow your passion and do everything. But where does grit come in is that you have to combine your passion with perseverance. You need to follow up. Passions come and go. They ebb and flow based on where you are, in which stage of the life you are, what are you doing. They ebb and flow. The grit comes in, the success comes in when passion and perseverance go together for a long time. So Dr. Alauddin talked about the fact that you need to spend 10,000 hours into doing a certain thing before you can become an expert at it. The definition I liked was effort counts twice. So you have talent and you put in effort and you develop a skill. But real success comes in when you combine that skill with more effort to achieve a greatness, right? And that is how you become great. So you take a look at all the great sports folks in the that you keep on hearing about. Canada, it's Wayne Gretzky, NBA, LeBron, India, Tendulkar. All these folks, they had a passion, but they also had a perseverance. Wayne Gretzky, I was lucky enough to hear him speak once, and he said that his father actually built him an ice rink that was inside of the window of the house because it was too cold for the father to just stand and watch him. So the rink was actually built in a manner that he could watch him from inside the house, and it was too cold. But he still used to be out there practicing all the time. And that's, and his famous saying, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. It's that perseverance and that counts, and that's where the topic comes in from. So there are a lot of folks who are right now stuck inside, and they're not being able to do the regularly the things that they need to do, but or they want to do. But the whole point of the matter is that if you have a will and if you want to follow through on that, you will find a way. There's some sort of an outlet available all the time. And how you develop grit is there's an internal mechanism, right? You don't, as I said, passions ebb and flow. So what you need to do is you need to pick up micro habits, and you need to layer them on in a manner that it kind of helps you achieve things without having to give it a thought about it, without having to
Mhm.
motivate yourself every day. It just becomes one habit after the other. And I mean, that's the concept that I really liked, and I think it's really relevant in today's world, especially when you have so much of distraction. There's social media, somebody was talking about it, then there's all these things that keep on happening, the news that keeps on coming in, it drives you down. But what if you need to focus on something, you just pick up micro habits and keep on following through on it till you actually achieve whatever you want to achieve, or you know the end target that you have in mind. So that's where I brought up the topic. Open to the forum.
Navjeet, I'd add that, in COVID, there was all these, people were getting really lost working from home, or looking for a job, and they're home and they're stuck. And sometimes little things like those little micro habits are get up and shower and get dressed, and don't stay in your PJs all day, and don't, like, those are the things that are going to get you mentally prepared for your day. So, those are the things. So sometimes candidates are like, what am I supposed to do? It's 8 hours. I'm looking for a job. I'm like, these are the things that help get you in the mindset that you're getting ready to go to work, and your job is looking for a job and networking and doing all those things. So it's not always like this amazing piece of advice that you're going to give, but it's the little things that are going to get you where you're going to go, and being consistent and pushing through is part of your grit too, right? Because it's not like, all six of us, achieved some success in our careers overnight. Like, there were going to be tough days and obstacles and tough years, but we persevere because there's an end game here that we're going for. So sometimes people are thinking it's going to be easier than it is, but nobody said life was going to be easy, right?
And even when you take it, even when you're like, again, when you're at home and you take a break and do what you enjoy. Don't just take a break and sit and veg on the couch like some would do something. I mean, there's a couple of questions that talks about how do I know the job I love, or how do I know I'm in the job I love. I always like, Navjeet used a great analogy there in Wayne Gretzky, but I like Tiger Woods, and I like the side where he actually played golf, not the other side. So when he played golf, he was at the top of his game. Every year he would be number one in the sport. But what he did between the down season and the next season is he changed his swing. You're the best. You can hit the ball the furthest. You have the most accuracy. But yet the first thing you do once you get a chance is you change your swing. And when he changes his swing, his response is, "I was really good, but I can't let the others catch up." Right, so I'm going to find and change what I do so I can do it differently. So if you're in a job and you don't know if and you feel like you're doing the best that you can, that's great. But then go to the other side and do something that makes you a little bit uneasy, to really know if you're good at it and if you're going to continue, if that's what you want to continue doing. Because when the uneasiness comes is when that grit and that determination is going to kick in, and like the doc said, is like, what made you tick, right? Is it the fact that it's the last day that I need to submit this paper, or is it because I am, things are going to fail and I need to recover, right? What are those things that it comes back to the passion, the capability, the drive, the determination to make you, to want to do it. And a job should not define your life. It should be
No.
part of it. It should be, let your life define your life, and a job be a part of it, and live that way. Yeah, I'm applying to be a preacher next. So.
So, with all of this, how do you measure progress?
I think you feel it. I think there are a lot of things in life that aren't about KPIs, and I think you will know if you're true to sort of what you're trying to do. And different people are different. I'm sure Dr. Alauddin would come up with 3 key KPIs that you measure, because that's kind of his, that's what he does. But yeah, I think when it comes to personal progress and or other things, I think there's definitely a place for emotion, because I think you feel it when you do it, and you'll know. And the other one is you should seek feedback. I think that's the easiest way to measure progress, is always have those, I keep calling the personal board of directors, of people that you enjoy talking to, or diverse. I think diversity is really important in the people you engage with, because people come with different perspectives, and you should ask, right? I do that with my team. I've done that with Edward and Navjeet, and I won't tell you the comments they gave me, but I think it's always good to be comfortable with the fact that you can ask feedback, and when you receive it, really kind of internalize it, but not take it so personally, because end of the day you asked for it, right? And I think those are 2 things probably I use to see, am I doing better or not? I don't know. I'm sure others have a lot of things.
The good thing about Biju is he gives you the feedback whether you ask for it or not.
Oh, that's so great.
Wait a minute. This sounds very familiar now.
But you said progress, and I wrote success. And I don't know if there's a difference, and I like to measure it. So for me, what I do is, and I do it once a year. I am not lazy. It's just that I believe, you got to measure success and progress at some time scale. It's actually on New Year's Eve, usually before I get drunk.
Oh, geez.
I would always look
in that
back.
Small window?
In that small window, yeah, it's like that 35 seconds, because that's how long it takes me. But it's to look back and say, it's been a year. How am I different now than I was 1 year ago? Whether I was more, whether I did more things that I needed to do. But then I started to look at that and say, can I measure that? Am I happier than I was a year ago? And I use happiness as my measure of success, or my measure of progress. And it as you can see, I probably joke a lot. If you don't know me, I like to smile, because I believe being a frown is very difficult to carry, and more work. So I believe you gotta work on being happy. You gotta work on if there's anyone that doesn't listen to Soker on the cast, listen to The Happiest Man Alive by Machel Montano. It is a song that says you should be the happiest man alive, because that's how I wake up every morning. And I measure it once a year, and I go back, and I think it's like Biju said, it's that feel, it's that gut, it's that I am better than I was where I was. It doesn't mean I have a better job. It means I'm better than what I was, and that's how I measure it. So I don't like progress. I like success.
So there are different parameters to it. If you're seriously talking about happiness, right, you would say your family life, your work life balance, your health, your financial health. There are like multiple factors to it, right? The bottom of it is you got to take a look at those and say, okay, which one is most important for me right now, and what do I need to do to move it along? And I'll fall back to the whole thing. What is a habit that I need to inculcate that will help me progress? And again, that is the only way that you can actually know that you're working towards the right thing. Otherwise, you can be all over the place, and at the end of the year, you still not be happy. I do the same thing, but I do it in January.
Because you usually
just too drunk in the Christmas time frame.
Yeah, you usually have way too much to drink over the New Year, so I know I understand that.
I think there was a question a while back that how do I find out my passion in the work that I am doing? Where passion lies, enjoy every job you do. If I understood the question correctly, I mean, It's like, no, you can, apart from feeling, there is a logical thinking also that you can apply here, that every job that we do, it has a starting point and then an end point, right? So do I enjoy from starting to end the entire life cycle of the work or work product, or do I enjoy one part of it? Like, if it is a software, you have that no requirement to the no final finish and then no launching and all that, or there are different phases in that. So if you are customer facing, you want to own the entire process from start to finish, you enjoy that. That's one way of looking at it, right? So you might coordinate with multiple people to get those things done, multiple specialists to work on it. Or you might be passionate or you enjoy a certain part of it, development or testing, or capturing the requirement only. So that's another way of breaking it down and finding out where are you really good at or passionate about, and then want to contribute more and more.
What do you think, Seena? You're like quiet.
Yeah, no, sorry. I agree, because it's not just like I'm passionate about this job and that's the lane I stay in. There's going to be components of what you enjoy. It's okay. We don't have to love every part of every job we do, but the overall underlying things of what drives me as a person is what's going to help me find my passion in my career. I'm going to take me as a person and contribute to the job I do versus trying to find that happiness in the job. I'm bringing my happiness to my job, and that's when it's aligned for me.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so easy as to say like, okay, no, I love being a business analyst and I love being a sales rep. It's the components of those roles that you like, whether it's collaboration or, interacting with a group, things like that are what you can look at. So it doesn't have to be such a daunting task of, I got to find this perfect job title and that's what I'm passionate about. And then, okay, check that off on that big life lesson and I figured it out, because it's never that simple. And we're always learning and we're always evolving. Like that doesn't stop in your career. So sometimes I think candidates right now want to hurry up and find that passion, like they figured, the big secret of life, but it's an evolution in your life.
Yeah. So I agree. And I agree with you, Seena, too, that sometimes you just like go with the flow. Right? Like sometimes it's when you're not looking, do you actually find what you're actually looking for? So you put so much stress and pressure on you that I got to find my passion, that you kind of miss the complete picture, and it's like just passes by you and you're like, I don't know what happened, right? So sometimes you just kind of go through it. You just be the best that you can be in whatever phase it is. And in that process, you'll uncover things that you really enjoy versus the things you don't. And I would say that to anybody who's not sure.
Yeah, unless we know about it, somebody mentioned that try many things.
Yeah.
Try many things.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic conversation, and I am going to lead us back to where we want to get into a segue into how do we showcase that passion in an actual document, i.e. resume personality. So this is something that Ed and I were talking about earlier today, to say, how do we showcase our personality on a piece of paper that is so extremely important as a tool? So for those of you that are here or will be watching the recorded version, resume is a very important document. And as much as I dislike being judged by a piece of paper, it is the one thing that we need to get that interview in order to be able to showcase our passion. So as a community of mentors, we've decided to host an event for all you job seekers out there. If you want to get your resume and your LinkedIn profile reviewed, then please join us on June 26th in your lunch hour, which is between 12 and 2 Eastern Standard Time, and get that reviewed by one of our leaders. But before you do that, let's hear from Ed, a senior leader, about what he means by showcasing our resume personality.
So thanks, Meena. And Seena just said you don't have to be good at everything you do in your job to be good at what you do. So I suck at administration. Okay,
Look, it's a
so
common theme.
so so when I get something to read on my desk, it needs to be something that I want to read. I've read through a couple resumes, and they read very clinical. I know that someone has done X, Y, Z, but I can't tell what's their passion. Are they committed to what they do? Are they a charismatic leader? Are they about bringing teams together? Are they about doing things like that? And for me, reading a resume and understanding a little bit about the person on the other side, the name is one thing, but how do you bring out a personality to kind of reflect some key words in there that makes me know you're human? Because it is a piece of paper, and I have to put a face and a name and something that wants me to read it. I will read 25 resumes that all tells me they're the best business analyst there is out there, and what would make yours want me to bring you in. And that's what I when I talk about having a personality in the resume. So it is, leave me wanting more, leave me knowing enough to want to bring you in. So I gave one of the mentees on the program a bit of feedback this week, and we had a difference of opinion. Even some of us as mentors on the panel here about whether should a resume be point form or should it be a paragraph point. And the point is not whether it's a paragraph or point. The key is the words you use to highlight that you are an individual and you're a person. Like I say, strong leader, committed to team building a team, and also put examples so that I can see where you did it, and not just saying that I delivered a program. I delivered a program by doing something, right? So adding that bit of that personality. So for me, I when I get 25 resumes on my desk, the prettiest one gets read first. Then but just kidding. But it is about reading it and start the first section of that resume is literally all I go through to get to whether I want to see that person next. Because can I test you as being a good business analyst? I can probably come up with about 50 things in the BA Bach or PMBOK that I can ask you, but that doesn't mean that you can do what we need you to do, because personality is a big factor of a job. So that to me is when I say the personality needs to come out from the resume, and then it needs to flow into the job and be a person. Don't be a piece of paper. That was my thoughts. Yeah.
I'm gonna add to that, because I think it's really true. Like if it's just about qualifications, there's a ton of people with the same qualifications, right? And that's where you want to stand out. There's so much competition out there. So what makes you stand out? Are you just an okay business analyst? Do you just have the keywords on your resume, which I'm not a big fan of? It's just like, what is it that you want to showcase about yourself as a total person, not just this is the job description version of me as a resume. Like, I'm going to work on a team with you. I'm going to be a part of your organization. I'm going to represent your organization. I'm going to impact customers. So I want you to know what kind of person I am, versus here's 5 bullet points of what I've done that anyone, anyone would do with the same job title. You lose interest really quickly because you don't stand out. And when you've got 50 resumes or 250 resumes, they all start to look the same if it's just about qualifications. Like, what did you do to make yourself stand out in the role? And then when you bring it to the paper, you stand out as well. We'll notice that if it's just about what you've actually done versus what you think we want to read on a piece of paper.
And it's good to.
Thank you, Biju.
It doesn't mean that you have to write a book.
No.
Right. It's about the way you get that message across. And I think, again, for me, like you said, when you have 25 resumes or 50 resumes on your desk, you flip through them. It's very important to you as a person applying, to the person receiving it. Think about the time commitment that they have to put into it, so that if you something about in pregnancy, if you take on your wife's image. It's easier because you feel the pain, something like that. It's the same thing. Feel the pain. Feel the pain that I have to go through when I have to read these resumes. I know my examples suck.
Why
What was that
not?
about pregnancy pain?
No, but it's that, it's that transfer of pain and that sympathy that goes with it, so that it actually you're trying to understand the person on the other end at it as well. So if all you're doing is you're giving me more work, I wouldn't do it. Like I said, I'm not good at administration, so I would skip that one and get to the next one.
Navjeet, how would you look at a resume? So we know how Seena and Ed would look at it. We'll get to Biju as well and Dr. Alauddin, but Navjeet, how would you look at a resume? You're the vice president at Tech Mahindra for the IT. So I know that there are quite a few IT people watching us.
See, the way I look at the resume is two aspects. One is the basic competency, as Seena said, that there might be 10 people out there who have done the same competencies, done the same projects. But I'll take an actual example. When you're telling me that you successfully delivered a project, that's just one line. We delivered a project delivering X, Y, and Z. But I look at the more details around those statements as to, what was the business outcome? When you were actually managing a project, did you understand who was your stakeholders? Were you able to deliver to their satisfaction rather than just saying I delivered a piece of software? What were the business outcomes? Second part is I look at critical details, number of people, where were they based, what was the budget? So I like to get down into those details when I try to understand, because depending upon where I'm hiring, what I'm hiring, so I don't interview technical folks. I've lost the skill a long time back. But I would definitely, after they've cleared the technical round, I would still want to go through it just to see the amount of knowledge they're able to display, the clarity of thought that they're able to, showcase in that resume. The second part of it, from the candidate point of view, I try to look at and see where are the strengths that the person has put in but not talked about in the resume. So when I go and get into an interview, I'll say, you mentioned this, but the X, Y, and Z come along with this. You've not mentioned it. Where is it? So that helps me. One is gives them a chance to really talk about what they've done, and secondly, it helps me weed out. When folks have just put in information without actually doing the stuff, when you start to drill down into those things, it's very easy, because if you've done it, it shows through.
Yeah.
So those are two things I look for.
And we've been emphasizing results-oriented resumes forever, right? Like that's always been our, doing something is good, but showing what you've accomplished is even better, right? And we see that all the time. I mean, I can tell you that there are a lot of resumes I get, even as part of all the work that we're doing today, that I don't even open. And there are times I test myself. I'm like, I'm not going to open it. And I think my first reaction will be that it was results oriented, and I open it. I'm like, that's all. That's it. Like, I don't even have to look at the resume. Like, I know what it is, right? So I agree with Navjeet. I mean, you have to put enough, but not a book that gives people a chance to relate quickly, that you can help them.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the objective, right? That's it. And it has to be quick. Yeah.
And want more. Make me want more, right? That's what it comes down to, because it is, first impression, best impression, and your first impression is your resume that shows up on my desk.
Dr. Alauddin,
yes,
sorry.
Sorry, I just would like to add one more thing. See, I don't spend time with generic resumes. So if you've advertised for a job and the person sends me a generic resume, so let's say I need again, I'll go back to I need a project manager for a capital markets project, and I get a generic PM project where they don't talk about what they have done in capital markets, or or what they have done specifically in relation to the job description. And if that doesn't come through in the first glance, I will not spend time on it, because I will look at a seriousness of a candidate based on the amount of work that they have done to try to, give enough information regarding what I'm specifically looking for in a resume. And if they have just sent me something generic, a cover letter always helps, but even if, within the resume, if they have not been very specific, I would not spend time on it. So,
There you go. Cover letter helped.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Hold on. You're missing the point, because we're going to teach people to do things just to do it. And it's the same
Exactly.
generic thing, right? The cover letter helps tell the story, but if it's generic
That's right.
resume, then it's a generic cover letter. That's no value, right? And I think that's the
Yeah.
thing. People are so quick to be like, I have my one template, so I could just upload, and mass apply. And, we know that you're not respecting or considering our time when we just look at the same old. And you're asking us to just read your mind and know that you are the best out of 100 candidates, playing a part in that as a candidate. So being cognizant of how you present yourself
I agree.
and the level of detail has to be there to sort of prove that you are doing what you said you did, right? Like, what, at coming to an interview, I'm going to probe further and further. But when it's a piece of paper, who's going to pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, listen, on bullet point number 3 of job number 2, you said this. Can you tell me a little bit more before I decide I'm going to interview? That's not going to happen.
I agree.
And then Seena wonders why everybody wants their resume reviewed by her. Sorry, Seena. This is why.
I'm going to say nothing else about resumes then. Biju is the real resume whiz.
No.
This is a front. This is a front.
Right.
Dr. Alauddin, do you want to say anything about resumes?
Yeah, quite honestly, these days when I look at resume, first of all, I assume that it has been modified or tweaked by multiple reviewers, and there are a lot of trainings available for resume writings and things like that. So my point goes to what Edward said, right? What's interesting in that? And what's interesting in that, maybe because of the kind of people that we want to hire, we try to find out what's the true potential. And then, do I want to have a chat with that person? Maybe there's not many experiences written, but there is some kind of flavor of that person's interest, and it kind of resonates. So definitely, cover letter helps. At one point, it was there. No, without cover letter, we wouldn't really consider. And we would send them back. Okay, look at our website and tell us why you're applying here. And then we'll just send them back, so that right back. So is it interesting or not? And then a cover letter that brings in some kind of truth of that person, and then passion. Again, I'm going back to that, and maybe it's more why. Well, why are you coming to me, or why are you coming to our organization, right? Is that telling any story? So if that resonates, then we move forward. Maybe some cases we don't really look at so much in detail of the experiences and all. And when I used to hire, even for Accenture and Tata's, I used to go for second, third interviews. So I personally used to interview second time if that person is directly going to work with me or directly reporting to me. So it's because resume I can misinterpret, or I can misread, or because it's a long-term journey, right?
Yes. So very, very quickly, because we are out of time and we have still a few more topics to address. So 2-page resume, 1-page resume. Dr. A, 2 or 1?
I don't mind 2-page. 2-page is okay. 2
or 1?
I read the first page. Even if you have 2, I read the first page, and the first page tells me enough whether I want you to be to come in and see me.
Awesome. Seena, 2 or 1?
It's not that simple, because it's what are you trying to convey, and can you do it in a page, or if you need to talk about more things and more experience? I don't really think you got to go past 2 pages for that, and that is also time constraints, and just you're showing us how you can be concise, how you can articulate what you've done, and if it's results oriented, then we're going to see what we need to see in a page or a page and a half, right? So it depends on the person and the level of experience they have and what they're trying to showcase. But I will say not more than 2 pages, ideally.
Awesome. Biju, 2 or 1?
I agree with Edward and Seena.
Awesome. Navjeet,
That'll be
2
my
or
whole,
1?
really well.
that'll be my whole show today. I agree with this.
I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. As long as the information is there, it can be contained in 1 page. It's good enough. But if they want to write about themselves and it's in 2 pages, that's okay as well. Kind of depends on what the role is. So basically what Seena said.
But I've heard people say, well, Bill Gates can do it in 1 page, but that's Bill Gates though.
But that's Bill Gates.
Bill Gates doesn't need introduction. Like he can do it in half a page.
No one's reading his resume. I think he's just getting hired.
Yeah.
So all you
right.
got to do is change your name to Bill Gates.
Okay.
there you go.
So
We'll do full circle, and then you've got your brand, and then you've marketed yourself. You don't need a cover letter if you're Bill
That's right.
Gates. You're fine.
So in 3 minutes, we have 3 topics. I'm going to go really, really quick.
That is the round table.
Yes, this is a round table. Yes. So going back a little bit behind and talking about the importance of having an elevator pitch or a credible introduction, like we say in Destination CEO. The importance of it. So
That's Seena's topic. Let's go.
I wanted to do the controversy. So the thing about this is I'm finding a lot of candidates have created this very stiff, what I want to hear, way to introduce themselves. And there's no engagement of who they are as a person and who it doesn't feel like a two-way street. So if you imagine the concept of an elevator pitch, you get in an elevator, you've got 30 seconds before they get off their floor. I mean, do you organically start talking about your credentials right when you meet someone and say, this is who I am and this is, and I haven't even asked you who you are. So it feels stiff. I think a lot of candidates are trying to do this perfect pitch and they're losing the kind of humanity of like who they are. So I have tons of people that message me and give me a pitch, how they want to work for my company and they're an IT professional. Well, I'm in the construction industry and I don't hire IT professionals. So thank you for your pitch, but you kind of lost me when you didn't care about, you didn't care about who I was that you were pitching to. You were pitching for the sake of pitching. And I think that's a missed opportunity on many candidates that I'm interacting with on LinkedIn, especially. So I think it can serve a purpose if it wasn't so stiff and like, a mini speech of a job description, essentially.
awesome.
Yeah. And I think that comes from authenticity, things that you believe in. Otherwise, it's just like, you're like a robot, right?
Yeah.
It's like even resumes. I think the days of resumes are limited. I think
Yes.
I think so. I think there's multiple profiles that people are creating of themselves. I think there's lots of, and the way people will be evaluated will be different. Instead of 2 pages or 1 page, I think people will have lots of information. It's happening today. 90% of the recruiters go on LinkedIn to find what people are about before they even look at anything. So who says that, practice of 300 years where somebody wrote on a piece of paper what they're about is what's going to happen when everything around us is changing? Why?
So, yes, everything's changing. So in terms of change, let's very, very quickly talk about people potential.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's your topic.
Yes, it is. Quickly. So I came across, I think on LinkedIn, there was a Harvard Business Review article that said, the title was, do you, essentially in summary, it was, don't hire for what people have done, but hire for what people can do. And I thought that was a very interesting way of kind of looking at something. And I kind of, even my own experience, I went back and say, well, let's say in the last 3 years or more, like how has that been the case? Have I really looked at, I've understood what people have done, but is that the reason I've hired them? And my conclusion was that's actually not true. I haven't hired more for what people have done. I've always looked at what people are capable of and what they bring to the table. And without anybody saying his transferable skills and stuff, I'm like, here's like 3 things that this person can do, right? So that was a question. I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it, the problem, if you will. And I was curious about what everybody else does when they hire people. Do you hire for past experience only, or do you hire for potential that we think people can do and what your role can be in that success?
That's a loaded question because what they can do only, I think both. Because there's behavioral-based interviewing, past performance predicts future performance, right?
Right.
But I think it's really about how did they approach a situation, and the thought process and how they learned from it, and then how can it apply in the future. So that's how you can change industries or change roles, right? It's like, what kind of person am I getting? Are they willing to learn and evolve, and are they able to be coached, and do they naturally organically have it with customers or with colleagues? So I think you can look at a combination of potential with some history there.
Yeah, and pass is like, I always say to candidates, I say, having your MBA is a great thing. It doesn't help you do anything. That's just to my MBA friends in Biju there. But what it tells me is that you have the capability to learn. And if you have the capability to learn, then you can expand. You'll learn whatever needs to be done so you can be better at what you do. And Julia is asking a question is, as a leader, how do you bring out the best in your employees? Employees got to bring out the best in themselves as well too, right? So don't take tasks, take outcomes. And I think Navjeet mentioned this, deliver on output, deliver on outcomes, deliver on things that makes you stand out. And employees have it's a 50, it used to be a 50-50, but now it's a 70-30 rule where the employees got to do more to stand out than the boss or the leader has got to do to help them stand out. And this is where you take your own career in your hand. And when you believe you're not being challenged enough, put your hands up and ask, and question the leaders as to whether you're really taking advantage of my skills, and is there something else I can do? Be careful. If you do put up your hands and you get called on, you got to be able to deliver, right? So it comes down to that, be confident, being ability to deliver, and driving to that, demonstrating that drive that you have that makes you better and leads to that challenge. So that's what I would look for, and that's how I like to look at employees. I don't look at 8 hours a day. I look at what needs to be done, and if you do it in 1 hour and you can sit at the pool and enjoy the next 7, great. I'm fine with that too.
I think there's a couple questions. One was around, is it okay as you learn? Is it okay to switch your passion or things you find and diversify? Absolutely, because there's the things that you're interested in today probably won't be the things that you're interested in tomorrow. But that's a consequence of the change around you, and as you explore more things, right? And I think the other one is, which leadership skills are the most important to develop? It's listening. I think that is the hardest thing to do, is to just shut up and listen to your environment and what's going on. That's my take, but anyway.
Very good.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our panel has spoken. I hope that the session was as informative and interesting to you as it was to me. We always go out of time, but oh well, it doesn't matter. Any final words, ladies and gentlemen?
Good luck.
We talked about so much.
Keep at it. It will happen. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep working on it, and success will come. It is around the corner. Everyone is going to be there.
Be passionate. Show your grit. Have a personality. Showcase your personality on your resume. Oh my God, that's going to be just another ball game. So thank you, panelists. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It was an absolutely fantastic session. We are back, not on LinkedIn Live, as you know. We're doing Resumania on Friday. So if you are interested in getting your resumes reviewed and your LinkedIn profiles reviewed to see if you have that personality showing on your resume, make sure that you sign up. Thank you again. This is Meena Dawani from Destination CEO, wishing you all a wonderful evening.